Listen, I know we've all seen things happen at work that concern us so greatly that we want to speak up about them, but we don't know how to. This is a challenge that I've seen over and over again from leaders who see unethical behavior, see processes not right, see people doing things that they shouldn't be doing that are not to the betterment of the organization or the people that you serve. We know it happens over and over again, but it's hard for people to speak up. And time again, we see these things go on and people don't speak up, and it leads to more detrimental problems. It might even lead to lawsuits and legal action because the bad thing was going on for so long and nobody did anything about it. I mean, think about the example of Enron. That company had bad management and ethical practices year after year after year, and nobody ever spoke up. And when they didn't speak up, what ended up happening is that thousands, tens of thousands of people lost their pension, lost their livelihood, some committed suicide, and some even went to jail. So it's really, really important that when you see things that concern you, you have to speak up. If you don't, you could be guilty of collusion with the problem because you knew about it, but you didn't do anything about it. You knew about it, but you didn't say anything about it. But it is challenging because you've seen people step up and speak up when it comes to challenges, and you saw them get terminated. You saw them get retaliated against. Maybe you even saw them get demoted. So there's a lot of fear and a lot of concern about how do I speak up when I see issues that concern me in the workplace. So I want to give you some guidance. I want to give you my thoughts and framework that when you see things that are going wrong in the organization, how do you speak up in a way that you raise those issues so that they get addressed, but at the same time, you don't get fired or you don't compromise your livelihood because you spoke up when nobody else did. So the first thing is, I want you to understand that you have a responsibility to always speak up. There's never a wrong time for a leader to do the right thing. And if you want to be that leader that's admired, that's respected, and valued by everybody in the organization, you have to be a leader who's willing to speak up. You got to speak truth to power. So I want you to get real clear that your feeling deep down inside that you want to speak up is the right feeling. This means you need to say something about what you see and what you know is wrong and what those issues are that concern you. You should speak up. But now I want to give you how you should do that. First and foremost, you need to start at a one-on-one level, which is everybody reports to somebody. I don't care if you're a CEO, you report to a board of directors. There's a chairman of that board. So if you see something wrong at any level in the organization, you should start by speaking up and having a conversation with the person that you report to. And that relationship should be strong enough that you should feel free to be able to say what your concerns are in the safety and the comfort of a private setting. Don't blast it out in the room. Don't send it via email. Don't send it via social media, and don't put it in a text message or anything of that sort. You want to have a one-on-one meeting with the person that you lead. You have that one-on-one meeting and you share your concerns, and you ask that person that you report to address those concerns, or at least alleviate the concerns or help you to understand what those concerns are. And that's a great way to start the conversation. So if you're concerned about something, your conversation should be, hey, boss, hey, leader, hey, person that I report to, can you help me to understand why we allow A, B, and C, or why we allow X, Y, and Z? And then if they can give you that understanding, that might alleviate your concerns and calm them down. But let's be clear. If you have a leader who is selfish, insecure, controlling, or know-it-all, and they don't give you the time or space in a day to raise those issues, or maybe they're worse, dismissive of everything that you might say, the issues that you might raise to them. If you work for a leader that is insecure or dismissive of what you raise as an issue, then that lets you know that the problem is much bigger than them, or maybe they have the problem and you need to raise that challenge with someone else. So I would tell you, this is the next way that you raise that concern, is that you go to your peers and your colleagues, the people who are at the same level that you are in the organization. And then you ask the question, can you help me to understand why we do X? Or why do we allow Y? Ask your peers, because if they've been in the organization longer than you have, they might know more than you know. And there might be a valid reason about why this happens that way. You're concerned about it because you don't have the full picture. So ask your peers and your colleagues. And depending on the answer that they give will tell you whether you've overblown this or whether they also share that concern and they haven't said anything. And if they share their concern as well, but they haven't said anything, then that shows both of you have the convictions deep in your heart or in your gut that you need to say something, but you haven't said anything. You got to find a way to say it. So here's level 3, where I would encourage you to speak up about those issues that concern you, is that when you're in a meeting, a small meeting of peers, you have to get good at asking questions. You got to get good at asking questions. So one of those questions could be, could you help me to understand? Another question is, why do we do X? And don't ask it with an antagonistic tone. Don't ask it in any kind of way of malice or trying to accuse people. Say, I'm curious, I'm trying to understand this a little bit more. Why do we do A? Or why do we allow B to happen? And ask it in a group meeting and see what answers you get back. And if you really want to raise issues that concern you, then you got to learn how to ask good questions. The better you get at asking questions, the more answers you will get, the more you will make people understand that that's a very valid question that we need to get an answer to because we don't have it. So I would tell you always to raise the concerns that you have in asking questions. I'm never going to tell you to be like Mr. Darnell in the movie Lean on Me, to come into the office and start flipping over tables because you don't like what you see and you're concerned about stuff. You got to get good at asking questions. So start with your boss, ask them one-on-one. If that doesn't work, go to your colleagues or peers and ask them to help you to understand. But if they don't know, or if they have the same fears that you do, in your next meeting, you need to ask questions. Don't accuse anybody of anything. Don't point out other people's flaws. Say, I'm just trying to understand. Can someone explain to me this? Because I really want to know. Those are the ways that you start to raise those issues. If you raise those issues, you will feel better about yourself because you raise them and you ask the questions. You also might get the answers that you seek to understand around what concerns you. But if you still are at a challenge and you're not getting the answers, you're not getting this to the resolution that you want, I want you to drop me a line, drop me a comment. I want you to connect with me on LinkedIn and let me help you to figure out how we get to the solution to the challenges that your organization is having. So I want to thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day.